Captain Marvel's uniform makes me sad. Let's talk about why. So Marvel Future Fight's July mid-month update has just arrived, and immediately I purchased Captain Marvel's uniform. Because when I looked at the patch notes, I was pretty happy with the buffs that I saw that she would be receiving. It looked like she would be very good, a good investment, and considering that I've had her at tier 3 for a long time, I was excited at the prospect of giving her a little bit of new life, making her a little more useful to my current roster. But unfortunately, it looks like that won't be the case, and it looks like, at least for me, I flushed down 1,050 crystals, and I can't get those back anymore. So let's look at the build that we're working with right now. It's not perfect. I'm not going to claim that it is. Crit damage could use, a little more of a buff there, but it's about the best that I could do given the circumstances, given the build that I have right now. It's kind of hard to cap her out. You'll see later that we've invested significantly in her Urus, and she, that's just what we have. She has the leadership tag, she has the fast movement tag, all stuff that was expressed in the patch notes. So we move on, we look at the other stuff here. We have her gears. She has 2 Odin's Blessings. We have the necessary skills capped out, her second skill included. She has a rank 4 type enhancement from when I used to, use her regularly as, a main PvP character. You can see here she's got a stage 7 ISO 8 set, Power of Angry Hulk. The reason all of these ISOs are upgraded was because I did intend at one point to get all of those awakened, but I never got around to it. We have a guard break immunity, crit rate 180 damage proc, so it's like a hybrid PvP, PvE, obelisk sort of thing. And we have a heroic uniform that has 2 options there. I might change the movement speed later on, but it's the first thing I rolled, so we're just gonna stick with that for now, And yeah, her uniform looks pretty good. It's great looking, like aesthetically, and it looks like there's a lot of buffs that she'll be getting. Specifically, this uniform effect increases damage dealt to supervillains and decreases damage received from supervillains. On paper, everything looks pretty good for Captain Marvel, so why do I find her so disappointing? Well, let's get into the test that I did, and let's discuss why. So to test her in World Boss Null, I've taken her up against 2 characters that I think are very comparable to her. The first of which is Proxima. Now, the reason I compare Captain Marvel to Proxima is because they are both universal female supervillains. So if Captain Marvel wants to become a prominent member of the Marvel Future Fight meta, she's going to have to be going against Proxima, who is probably the best universal supervillain female tier 3, I believe. Supergiant may be better, but she's transcended. So, I feel like this is a pretty apt comparison. And the other character that I'm going to be comparing her to is Vision, because both of these characters are 800 CCF tier 3s, and they're both universal types. So the price to upgrade them and to take them to tier 3 is pretty comparable, and they both got uniforms pretty recently. So I feel like it's reasonable to compare the two. Now, each of these characters are being taken against Stage 1 Null with their best team. So these are, the best leaderships that they can offer alongside 2 supports. So the leaderships might not be exactly the same, but I'm kind of showing you here the teams that I would take with these characters if I wanted to clear the highest stage I could with them. Think of it as like the full power that I can access with these characters in my roster right now. So yeah, we can see here that Proxima makes very short work of stage 1, at least in the first phase. Getting Null there immediately, and Vision, you can see, is not too far behind. He's just a couple of bars off. Now let's look at Captain Marvel over here, who is struggling. This woman is struggling. This is stage 1 of Null with the best team that I could give her. I even catered this team for her. I slapped Venom in to give her a little bit of a heal. I slapped a couple of ignore dodge strikers on there so that she could cap out on the ignore dodge alongside Valkyrie support as well. I gave her Ancient One debuff so that, the tornadoes wouldn't snare her so much. And still, look, she is struggling. Not only is she lagging behind Vision and Proxima so much, but at this rate, she's not going to be able to clear stage 1 of Null. Can you imagine? This is a tier 3 character that I have with her latest uniform that came out literally today. I have a 180 damage proc on her, which is the highest damage proc among these 3 characters. And she cannot clear stage 1 of Null for me. Now look, yeah, I don't have Pierce or anything, okay? But that doesn't stop me from clearing stage 1 Null before. I have a lot of characters that I can do stage 1 Null. Hell, even Bucky. A lot of people were saying that Bucky's uniform was terrible, and while I think it was disappointing, I don't think it was terrible because Bucky can at least do stage 1 of Null, stage 2 at best. Captain Marvel cannot do stage 1 Null. This is baffling to me. Okay, so she sucks for PvE. What about PvP? Now, when I did test for PvP, and mind you, I'm not the best PvP player, when I took Captain Marvel in to test into some PvP action, she did seem a little better than I thought she would be. I think the decreased damage received on her uniform does help her survivability significantly. She doesn't get squashed immediately like she used to in her old uniform, which is why she kind of fell out of the timeline battle meta. But I feel like she's still not good enough to last in this meta. Now, people might disagree and people might say, oh, you just gotta slap a CTP of regen on her and then she'll be, one of the best or something. But like, personally, I feel like if you need to slap a CTP of regen on someone to make them great for PvP, they're not that good for PvP. Kind of cements why characters like Silver Surfer, Sentry, Jean, all of these characters can shine in PvP, I believe, without a CTP of regen. Either with a CTP of authority, a simple invincibility obelisk, and in some cases, a normal damage proc. All of these things can suffice. With Captain Marvel, I feel like it's CTP of regen or bust. Maybe a CTP of destruction, but I feel like regen's really the way to go. And I feel like even with a CTP of regen, I don't think she'll be good enough. She's still a one-trick pony in the sense that the thing that gives her an edge in PvP is still only her ignore iframe skill. Other characters have that too. Sentry has that. Silver Surfer has that. And guess what? They revive. Silver Surfer can reflect. Like, other characters just do what Captain Marvel can do, but better in PvP. Not to mention the fact that her uniform passive, which looks great on paper, doesn't really do anything for PvP as well, because a lot of the heavy hitters in PvP right now are heroes, and her uniform passive buffs her against villains. So, I might be wrong on this, because again, I think I'm more knowledgeable in PvE content than in PvP, but in my opinion, maybe people will find some use out of Captain Marvel these next few weeks, but as time goes on, she'll fall off, and people will forget about her if nothing changes. So yeah, to sum it all up, she's not good for PvE, and she's not good enough for PvP. This is why I regret purchasing this Captain Marvel uniform, and I wanted to get this video up immediately because I kind of wanted to make a sort of PSA on this, get my opinion out there early. If you haven't purchased this uniform yet and you were thinking about it, maybe I could dissuade you and help you save a few crystals. Because I definitely know that if I knew what I knew now back then, I wouldn't have purchased this uniform. Just kidding, maybe I would have, just so I could make this video still, but I do wish that I could get my crystals back. Now, I know I've dunked on this uniform pretty hard, but just to cover my bases, I'm gonna cover a few caveats that I may be missing out on. Because of her tier 2 passive, she may be really, really good with a CTP. I'm thinking maybe a rage, but possibly an energy as well, because her tier 2 passive will, amplify that sort of thing, right? And so she could be stupid busted with a rage or an energy. She might be, number 1 or something in the game with a rage or energy. I highly doubt it, but, with her tier 2 passive, I don't know how far that will take the buffs of CTPs on her. I'm just kind of covering my bases in case I'm wrong here. But yeah, just based on what I've tested with a normal damage proc and a relatively free-to-play build, this is not a good uniform. This is nowhere near good enough for a 1000 crystal uniform for a tier 3 character in 2021. So yeah, have you purchased this uniform? My commiserations if you have. But yeah, if you have purchased this uniform, am I missing something? Am I wrong about Captain Marvel? That's kind of one of my fears, making a video like this, something calling it out so early, and maybe I'm missing something. But do let me know if I'm wrong. I would love to hear from anyone else who has this uniform and has Captain Marvel at tier 3. I hope that this video helped outline what I think of Captain Marvel and the reasoning for my logic. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.